a lot of times when people come to real estate, it's for that dream of passive cash flow to be able to then not have to work for the rest of the life. Another thing, you might be sitting there like, okay, well, like this dude had $20 million real estate portfolio, must have had a hell of a cash machine. In 2018, I made $46,000. Okay. In 2017, I had a negative net worth. I literally was broke. I was so broke. I was living in a rental house with two other dudes in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I was not succeeding at my job. I was sales-based, commission only, and I sucked. I was the most energetic 20-year-old that sucked at sales. And so I would Airbnb'd my bedroom that I rented to then sleep on the couch. I built my $20 million portfolio in my 20s, right? I didn't have a lot of money. So for the people out here that are like, maybe I don't have a lot of cash to throw into real estate. I don't have $1 million I could just dump in. Well, then what? Right? And so for the people out there that don't have a ton of cash, I always teach on, there's a two-step framework. Number one, I thought I had it all figured out. I was a multimillionaire at 29. And I literally almost went back to work to get a job. Now think about that. Like, I had so much equity, but my cash was draining so quickly because I had used a lot of leverage to build a lot of equity, but you can't eat equity. And so I was literally like, my wife and I we were in tears, right? And it was just like, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to sell these assets, and we have to have cash now. I quit my job that I was making really good money and working like 35 hours a week to start a property management company. And I had no systems and I didn't know what I was doing. And literally I worked like 80, 90 hour weeks, and I was making way less money than my job because I had no systems. I didn't know how to do all these things. And so basically I come partner people and help them not live through that super stressful time, to find out, okay, here's how to hire someone. Here's how to put processes in place. Here's how to scale out of what you're doing in the menial tasks. The people that are stuck, like, dude, I don't want to do these menial tasks anymore. I know I can do more with my time if I just have more of my time. And so that's really what we center around, is mastering the wealth game and the time game.
Welcome back to the BIG Academy show. I'm your host, Alex Story. Super excited to have you here as always. This is a place where we talk about mindset, money, and marketing. And in today's episode, we will mostly talk about money in a way that's related to the real estate space. So I would like to introduce you to someone who is, as he describes himself, a washed-up basketball player turned investor. Wyatt Simon owns and operates a $20 million vertically integrated real estate portfolio, along with several other businesses, including wholesaling, lending, property management, and coaching. Wyatt helps students take control of their financial future by utilizing real estate. Welcome to the show.
Right. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about today's conversation. So could you share a little bit about how it started in real estate? Like, how did you become an investor? Because there are so many different ways on how you could do it. And people see all this content on social media, and you could do one way or another, and lots of different ways. But you've been there, you've done it, as you just mentioned, you like to, your main message is to help people work less and make more. How did you get to this point?
That's a great question. And I will say real estate evolves, or at least I have evolved in real estate. Right. I've been doing it for 7 years, which I know isn't super long, but it's long for my life. We'll say that. And within that time frame, going from 0 to 20 million, there's a lot of changes that have taken place. What made me get started initially is I just wanted to have assets generating money for me while I slept, so that I didn't have to work for money the rest of my life. This passive income thing. Right. And so I used different strategies as the market changed too. Right? When interest rates were 2.5%, 3%, my strategies was much different than when interest rates were 8.5%. And so, there's just a lot of different things that we can go into, but really the whole reason why I got into it in the first place was just to achieve that like financial freedom where cash comes in and you don't have to work for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's the American dream. Pretty much. Interesting. So if somebody, let's say these days, it's beginning of 2025. The interest rates are down now, and somebody wants to start investing into real estate. They have no experience. They watched a couple of YouTube videos, they listened to a couple of podcasts, and they want to get their first property, the investment property. So what would you suggest them do?
So typically when people want to invest in real estate, let's pull the curtain back a second, right? Like when people come to me and they want to invest in real estate, usually the reason behind that is they just want freedom, right? They want to build wealth. They want to be able to do and live life on their terms. And so a lot of times when people come to real estate, it's for that dream of passive cash flow to be able to then not have to work for the rest of the life. After we uncover that a little bit, then we really look at, okay, what does that take to do? So unless you have a bunch of money that you can then throw into real estate with lower debt right now, because where the interest rates are, if you have a bunch of money, you can throw it into real estate, you can have low debt, you can have passive cash flow. Like, boom, there you go. You just got that. But for a lot of people, myself included, I built my $20 million portfolio in my 20s, right? So I didn't have a lot of money. So for the people out here that are like, maybe I don't have a lot of cash to throw into real estate, I don't have $1 million I could just dump in. Well, then what? Right. And so for the people out there that don't have a ton of cash, I always teach on, there's a 2-step framework. Number one is you build your cash machine. Okay. Real estate is not your cash machine. Your cash machine is either your W-2 job or your business, if you're a business owner. And I would hint on the second one, be a business owner. That's how you make the most money. Okay. Once you build your cash machine, step one, then step two is invest it in something like real estate. And that is when you start to really build wealth and grow and grow and grow. And then we can talk about tactics that I've used to, really leverage and build wealth in real estate by using certain strategies. But it all came at a point where you had to build your cash machine, and that cash machine can evolve too. And so another thing, you might be sitting there like, okay, well, like this dude had $20 million real estate portfolio, must have had a hell of a cash machine. It's like, in 2018, I made $46,000. Okay. In 2017, I had a negative net worth. I literally was broke. I was so broke. I was living in a rental house with 2 other dudes in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I was not succeeding at my job. I was sales-based, commission only, and I sucked. I was the most energetic 20-year-old that sucked at sales. And so I would Airbnb'd my bedroom that I rented to then sleep on the couch just so I could afford to go out to like bars and concerts with my friends, because I was failing at my job. I had no skills, a negative net worth. And so then the next year I made $46,000, which felt like $1 million to me at that time. And then the year after that, I made $185,000. And then the year after that, I made 230, and it started to grow. And I did that by getting good at my W-2 job. So I was working for a foundation company, and I got good. It was salaried plus commission. And so I started to learn. And by the way, the only reason I got good at sales is because I sucked at my first job. I still sucked. I just went to a different company that actually had training. And so my effort was there on both sides. It's just one company actually had the resources to get me good, and the other company didn't. And so you might be in a company where maybe your company's not good enough, and you need to go find a company that's good enough that you can learn and replicate processes so that you can then go get good. And then, by the way, while I built my cash machine, I started investing in real estate. So in 2018, I bought a duplex. I lived in one side, I rented out the other. And that really helped because my expenses, I was looking at my expenses, my budget, and I was paying $935 for rent of my 1-bedroom apartment. And that was my biggest line item of my entire expenses. It's like, okay, how do I get this to not be right? And so I got it. I was like, found a duplex. I was like, okay, if I buy a place and I live in one side and rent out the other, then maybe I could just like not have that monthly rent payment. And so then I bought a duplex. I think the duplex, I think all in, I was paying like $1,100 a month for the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance. And then the other side was paying $850 a month. And then my side I moved into, and I rented, it was a 2-bedroom duplex. I rented the master bedroom to my buddy and his fiance. And so now they were paying me $600. So now I was actually getting paid to live. And then I finished out the basement and rented that basement for another $500. So I took that line item of negative 900 and I turned it into a positive while getting good at my job. Right. And so that was the cash machine first steps that built from there. And then I learned how to invest. And then I left my job and I went through a lot of struggles because I built a ton of equity, but I watched my cash go to nothing. I was like, oh my God, okay, I still need cash machine. And so put cash machine back into place, built other businesses that are cash heavy. And then in turn, it's like it works really well together. Cash machine plus investments. Both of those in turn are how to reach that financial freedom that a lot of people are looking for.
Yeah, that is so important. I think too many people want to kind of jump into real estate or leave their job and start that business, whatever the business is, which most of the times is not the best idea, not the best solution. Because you still have the time, like you could still work your work, and let's say it's 9 to 5, and then you do have like people like to say from 5 to 9 you work on your business or you work in the morning. Because if you focus on the business, if you really want it, you'll find the time. That's what I believe in. And focus, like trying to focus these days might be a little bit hard with everyone trying to get your attention. Like in my case, on the phone, when I unlock my phone, in the background, I have the work focus. Just as a reminder for me to stay focused on whatever I'm doing right now, because sometimes like notification pops up and you go into that rabbit hole of like, oh, like somebody messaged you and you reply back. But yeah, going back to the real estate, uh, this is amazing. This is something that my business partner and I realized as well because we wanted to start real estate investing in real estate. But then at the same time, we're like, you you still need to show the income, and if you want to really grow a bit portfolio the way you've done it, you do need to have that cash machine, and that's why we decided to merge our knowledge and experience together and launch a new company, and that's what we're currently doing. So pretty much following your path.
Well, I wish I could take credit for it, but I think it's the path of many, many, many people. And it's just, it takes time, right? Like, yeah, I thought I had, and just to give you like a peek under the curtain, dude, I thought I had it all figured out. I was a multimillionaire at 29 and, and I literally almost went back to work to get a job. Now think about that. Like I had so much equity, but my cash was draining so quickly because I had used a lot of leverage to build a lot of equity, but you can't eat equity. And so I was literally like my wife and I are you're in tears, right? And it was just like, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do because like uh like I'm not gonna sell these assets and we have to have cash now. Like we need to pay for living expenses. We're buying a house, we've got a baby on the way. It's just like, I don't know. And by the way, interest rates are going up, inflation, labor costs. It's not like like expenses for the real estate portfolio was also going up and that was eating some cash. And so it was just like, dude, it was hard. And so I actually called 3 places to schedule an interview. And by the time they got back to me, I also did one other thing. And I said, okay, what if I spend some money in marketing to basically buy single family houses and wholesale them? Because I used to do that. And I was just like, okay, like I borrowed 10 grand, I put it into marketing. And within a month, that 10 grand turned into 26 grand. And that got me through a little bit. And I was like, okay. So I threw that back into marketing. And literally by the end of that year, we had generated $652,000. And ironically, one of the guys that I had called for the job, literally, he's like, he called me 7 months later. He's just like, hey, we didn't have an opening at the time, but now we have an opening. Would love to interview you. I'm like, yeah, it was nice to have that call and say no politely.
Well, this is quite a story because this is, I think, true bred entrepreneur. It shows that you are a bred entrepreneur because you're not just sitting there waiting to to get that interview, you take matter in your hands. You just ask. And I love how you use marketing because that's how that's something that we are doing. That's something that we help our clients with. And a lot of times when you start going through the numbers and you show them what's possible, they light up. And just like you said, like you invested 10K, you got 20. Is it 26 or 27?
26. Yeah.
26. Okay. Yeah. And then did it again and again and again. Yeah. Because that's pretty much the process. So what could you share with me what deal helped you, if you had some kind of a deal that helped you get from, let's say, when you were just starting to the 20 million? Did you get a bigger rental property with multiple doors, or, because I know that you also have a boot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Grab it over here. Your first 100 units. Real estate investors playbook to building a portfolio. So yeah, a lot of stuff, good stuff in there.
Sweet. Yeah, but could you share with me that transition from the first step outside from the first step to the next?
Yeah, I'll share with you something that you might not expect here, but a deal that was pivotal for my journey was a deal that I lost $64,000 on.
Hmm.
And it was my third deal. At this point, I thought I had the strategy pretty nailed down. Like my first deal was the duplex, and then I bought another house and I ended up generating 30K in equity on that house. And, I literally rehabbed it after work and I did all the things, I did all the steps. And at the end of the day, after 6 months, I got it and it was awesome. And then I bought my third property, and this property is called the Purple Palace. And so I bought it from a wholesaler. I went and saw it. It was nasty, but the price was really cheap. And I was like, dude, I could probably flip this. I could do all the work myself. I could probably flip this thing in like 2 months and then rent it out. So that was the plan. And I was working after work on the property. And one of the times I was working, it was me and my buddy, by the way. I wasn't that handy. I didn't know how to do a lot of this stuff, but I knew someone who was. And so I just hired him for $25 an hour and I worked underneath him. I said, I'll do whatever you tell me. I'll feed you as much Chick-fil-A as possible. We'll just flip the properties. Come on. And he was down. So that worked. But as we were working in the property, the city inspector walks out, says, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm flipping the property. I'm bettering the community. Like, what do you mean? He's like, "Well, where's your permit?" I said, "What's a permit?" And so he then educated me on not only what a permit was, but also what a red tag was. And so I got shut down by the city and I had to hire licensed contractors to do the work rather than me doing the work, which meant my rehab went from 20,000 to 46,000 in costs. And it took me, instead of 2 months, it took me 11 months because I had no idea what I was doing. I had to go find these contractors and work with them. And one of them I had to fire. And it was just like, I spent so much time wasted and it was just not fun. But eventually made it through. And then I stuck a tenant in the property, and the tenant finally gets in there. And then 2 days later, the tenant gives me a call and says, "Hey, Wyatt, it smells downstairs." And I was like, "Dude, I don't like get a dehumidifier, like whatever." He's like, "No, it smells downstairs. You need to come take a look." I was like, "Oh my God." So I go over there and there is shit and piss everywhere in the basement. Turns out the sewer line had backed up. And so I get a plumber out there to get the sewer line inspected. And it turns out there was the house was built in World War I, which means the sewer line was built with Orangeburg pipe. You ever heard of Orangeburg pipe? Yeah, I had never heard of it either. But turns out in World War I, the metal was used for the war. So Orangeburg pipe is a type of paper mache. And the entire plumbing line was concaved and crumbled and dust. And so I had to then dig it up and put in a brand new line. And by the way, that line connected to the street. So I had to dig up part of the street, and all that was on my dime. And so there's an extra $14,600 worth of cost and time and hassle, and the tenant's not happy. And, I've been paying carrying costs for this property for 11 months, and it was just like an absolute nightmare. But I got it done. And what I learned through that process and why was it pivotal in my journey? Well, number one, pressure makes diamonds. But number two, the reason why it was pivotal in my journey is because I learned how to hire people to do the work. because I was forced to learn how to hire people to do the work. And then I was able to start doing these things. Number one, I learned a ton of what not to do. But I was able to start doing these projects. And so once I learned that, then I started doing 2 at a time. And so instead of me, taking 6 months for a payout, I could do 2 in that time. And then I started learning how to do these in 3 months and doing 4 at a time. And then I started learning how to do these in 2 weeks and doing 5 at a time. And so it just started to scale. So then the fall, I did 6 that year. The following year I did 25. And then I haven't done less than, and the year after that I did, 26 plus like 70 apartments, and just kind of started to scale from there.
That's big. That's quite scale. So how many apartments do you currently have?
So currently at about 185, and that's a mix between like, I don't know, 40 some houses, and the rest are apartments.
Mm-hmm. And which one would you say is easier or better?
Man, that is a debate. I would, yeah, it depends. I think there's a lot of gurus out there that try to sell you into multifamily, and I got sold. I paid 25 grand for a mentorship. I did multifamily, and after going through it, we do single family for the most part at this point, just because we can find better deals. And yeah, I'll just say in my market, we found single families better. You have to get them at a price point that makes sense. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of deals that are not deals that syndicators will buy. People make money by raising funds to buy assets. And I've done syndications. I have a successful syndication that we have happy investors. And I've seen a lot of syndicators in my market just steal money from people and overpay for properties. And it just doesn't make sense. So I think there's a lot of corruption in the industry. Yeah, I got into multifamily with all the sunshine and rainbows, and I learned multifamily. And then after learning it, I made a moral decision. It was like, hey, I can either raise capital at returns that aren't realistic to then get deals done, which, by the way, I could have done that. I had multiple people that wanted to give me money to buy deals because they trusted me. However, and that would have allowed me to like not have to shift and not go get a job. Like, this was that pivotal time where my wife and I are in tears, because it's like, hey, I can go morally cross a line here to go get deals done, which I see everyone else doing, or I can not do that and then have to find something else, like go get a job or build a different business. And so that was the pivotal moment for me. I decided to not do that.
I would say a little hard to find those kind of people these days, because everyone is trying to make money.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier to, you also got to be able to sleep at night.
Yep. That's exactly it. Well, I don't know. I guess for some people, it's they don't mind. It's still okay for them, and they can sleep at night without thinking about it. But yeah, it wouldn't be the case for me neither.
Yeah.
Knowing that somebody got screwed up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Christian, and I believe we all will answer, and I believe to live for a higher power. And yeah, I'm here to help people. And if I can't help you through multifamily, I can't do something that's not going to help you. Right. And so that's why I pivoted. And now it's like, dude, I literally get the ability to help transform people's lives through investments and through building businesses. And it's so rewarding. And like, if I would have chose that path, like, it would have been so detrimental. And I think that's why you see a lot of unhappy people, is because they just don't live in alignment with their values. Like, it's better to be poor than to live out of alignment with your values. And then it's better to be rich and living in alignment with your values, in alignment with your values, if you can do that, because money is just a measuring stick of impact, in my opinion. It's just a tool.
Speaking of teaching and educating people, I know that as you mentioned right now, a little bit earlier, you do run a coaching business, right? So when somebody comes to you, they want to start investing into real estate, what does the process look like? How long is it? What do you guys do with your students?
Yeah, great question. So, I don't usually help a newbie. So I'll say that people usually come to me when they're like, hey, you know, they have they're a real estate agent. And so they've had real estate experience. They've bought one or two rentals and they just really don't know how to optimize financing to scale. Um, and so they just want to scale a portfolio faster, but they don't really know what to do and they want to shortcut that. So like that's a person that I really, really help. Other are business owners that have a cash machine built. And now they're like, okay, I don't want to pay taxes and I want to build wealth. It's like, okay, I will show you exactly how to do that and how to really ramp it, right? Like I didn't build a $20 million portfolio in my 20s with a lot of cash, right? So there are ways to really ramp wealth, but you have to have a cash machine to keep it. We'll say that. And so those are really the two people that I help, and it's the people that are looking to put in processes. Like well, the reason why I say work less, make more is like for a while there, I quit my job that I was making really good money and working like 35 hours a week to start a property management company. And I had no systems and I didn't know what I was doing. And literally I worked like 80, 90-hour weeks and I was making way less money than my job because I had no systems. I didn't know how to do all these things. And so basically I come partner people and help them not live through that super stressful time to find out, okay, here's how to hire someone. Here's how to put processes in place. Here's how to scale out of what you're doing in the menial tasks. The people that are stuck, like, dude, I don't want to do these menial tasks anymore. I know I can do more with my time if I just have more of my time. And so that's really what we center around is mastering the wealth game and the time game for real estate agents, business owners, and just salespeople.
Okay. So let's say if the real estate agent would that work for both, well, US citizens, yes, but also Canadians? Because our audience were, they live in both US and Canada.
Yeah, great question. So
But then
if you're thing there,
a lot of Canadians that they want to invest into real estate market in US because Canadian real estate market is a bit I'm not gonna say screwed, but well, it's there.
yeah, you don't get the tax benefits as we do.
Yeah, and like with all the prices, home prices and everything in between there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, price assets. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, everything that I teach on in the mastermind is true. It's principles. So it doesn't matter who you are or where you are. The principles around, okay, how to build processes, how to scale out of a business, how to hire yourself out, right? How to build wealth. It works wherever. And if you want to take these strategies and tactics and apply them to markets that are in local to the US, then you can do that too, or you can apply them to Canada. But yeah, I would apply a lot of the strategies to US markets, and then the principles behind how to build business and hire people and work yourself out are going to be they're going to be true wherever.
Speaking of markets, do you prefer investing locally in the local area, local state, or you can invest in other states that are pretty far away from you?
So I invest locally.
Oh,
Everything I've done is local. And the reason for that is just because I've been an operator. And so I look at people, like one of the first questions I ask people that want to get into this is, do you want to be a real estate investor or do you want to own a real estate business? Those are very different things. Okay. If you want to be a real estate investor, that means you're a passive investor. That means you can invest anywhere you want, wherever you want. And all you do is you buy a piece of property, you stick a property management company in place, they stick a tenant in there, you don't take the phone calls, your taxes, insurance are all paid and escrowed through your loan, and like you literally just sit back and collect a check. That's being a real estate investor. Okay? That's what a lot of people want. But then a lot of people get into real estate and they start trying to have to learn how to be a real estate business owner. And guess who's the real estate business owner? The real estate business owner is the person that finds you that deal. Okay. The real estate agent, the wholesaler, like whoever is finding you that deal, they have their own business on how to find deals and provide deals for people. Okay. The property manager, that property manager has their own business managing real estate for investors. So that's a whole nother business within the business, right? The banker has a whole nother business within the business. They lend money to real estate investors that are doing things. And so as I got into it, I didn't know any of that. And then I just became the operator, not the owner. And I did everything, right? I found the deal. I went direct to seller. So I didn't hire an agent. I found the deal. I then did the deal. Like I did the contractors, all of the work. The contractors are another business, right? So I did all the work. I financed it through a bank. So I didn't do that part. And then I managed the deal myself. So I was the property manager, right? And then now at this point, I have a deal finding company. I have a lending company. So I am the bank. I have a property management company just for our portfolio. And so those are and then I own the real estate as an investor. Go follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Wyatt Buys Buildings. That's like the easiest way. I post a lot on Facebook and Instagram. I give a lot of free resources, tools, stuff like that. I'll do giveaways. So you can do that. If you want to follow me online, you can go to WyattSimon.com. I've got some cool free resources. If you're like looking to get started right now, you can go find a bunch of stuff there. You can learn everything in this book. I spent, a good 6 weeks of my life writing this on a park bench. So you can download everything that I've learned in a matter of like a couple days. It's a pretty easy read. And other than that, if you want to reach out, then, shoot me a message on Instagram and we can chat.
As I always like to say, time is the most valuable asset, and I appreciate you sharing it with me.
My pleasure, Alex. Thanks for having me.